Hey, folks, today is Wednesday, October 30th, 2024. Coming up on Roland Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. We're here in Milwaukee at G's Clippers for our live show. Lots to break down. We'll be joined by the mayor, also talking to local elected officials. Also, about brothers and sisters here want to know what they want to hear in this campaign. It's 6 days until Election Day. Also, Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro joined us as well to talk about this election and Trump and his supporters continue to attack on Puerto Ricans. President Joe Biden steps in it last night. MAGA's upset, like we give a damn. And so we'll talk about that as well. Plus, the Supreme Court, the Republican Supreme Court allows Virginia to continue to remove non-citizens from the rolls, but also some actual citizens have been caught up in that as well. There's a lot to talk about. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
Folks, we are live here in Milwaukee. 6 days until the election. And so we're glad to be here for the next couple of days. And then, of course, I head to Mobile on Friday. And then we're in Detroit Saturday, Sunday, Monday to close this election out. 6 days until the election. And so much to talk about. Donald Trump Republicans are doing a lot of tap dancing after they trashed Puerto Ricans. This comedian at his hate fest on Sunday at Madison Square Garden. Lincoln Project, they dropped this ad to talk those comments.
We are Puerto Ricans, and we are Americans. But Donald Trump doesn't see us that way. We remember what he did to us after Hurricane Maria. We were dying by the thousands while he threw paper towels at us like we were a joke. Because he thinks we are garbage.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
We are not your punchline. We know who we are. We are proud Americans, proud Puerto Ricans. And we see who you are. You are racist. You are a liar. You are the one that is garbage. And we know where real garbage belongs. In the trash.
Also, Puerto Rican singer Nicky Jam, who endorsed Donald Trump over the issue of the economy. He actually has now pulled that endorsement. He rescinded that endorsement. Let's now go to Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro. Congressman, how you doing? Always good to see you. Let's get right into it. First and foremost, this has resonated beyond Puerto Ricans. Latinos all across the country are up in arms from these comments. You've got 500,000 Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania, 1.1 million in Florida, 100,000 in North Carolina. And so give us a sense of what you are hearing, not only from Puerto Ricans, but Latinos all across this nation.
I mean, people are outraged. Just the idea that Donald Trump finally people would put this guy up there to slander Puerto Rico, talk about how it's a island of garbage floating out there, and then also this racist trope about Latinos having a bunch of kids and coming into the country illegally and so forth. I think that it really cut through a lot of the noise and really cut to the bone for a lot of people.
What it also did, it reminded folks how he treated Puerto Rico. We all remember him going there tossing paper towels, but he held up funding to Puerto Rico and basically made them beg him.
Yeah, that's right. He tossed paper towels to this crowd of people who were basically desperate. A lot of them that had lost their property and their personal belongings, were just in a desperate situation. And then not only with Puerto Rico, but with others as well, played politics with disaster relief. And, so people have to ask themselves, is that the kind of president you want when you're in your most desperate hour of need, somebody who's going to withhold money if they think you didn't vote for them? I don't think any of us wants a president like that.
I was seeing something earlier from pollster Matt Barreto, and he is showing that in the last couple of weeks, Vice President Harris has widened her lead when it comes to Latinos. And as we're building towards Election Day, it's getting bigger and bigger. So could you share your thoughts about that in terms of this increasing gap between Harris and Trump when it comes to Latino voters?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, Roland, one of the narratives all along has been that black men and Latino men in particular were leaving the Democratic Party in droves, that they were migrating towards Donald Trump. But the latest polls show that that's actually not the case, that, there were 2 polls that showed her getting above 60% with Latinos overall. And so, I've been optimistic that she will eventually, when it's all said and done, she'll get about the same percentage of Latinos in the United States that Joe Biden did. And, she's the only candidate that's talking about making sure this is a country of opportunity for Latinos and for everyone. And Donald Trump not only is very divisive and hostile towards the Latino community, but really has no plans to accomplish much of anything.
Not only that, yesterday he had a news conference. He didn't apologize. He called it a love fest, what took place on Sunday, Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, he's just a very strange guy, a weird guy. Whenever you make a claim against him about one thing, he claims it's 180 degrees the other way. He kind of creates his own alternate reality, and then he tries to sell it and says it over and over again. And his folks in the very conservative, hard-right media help him out by often selling his alternate reality.
Well, absolutely. Obviously, a last question for you. You got a contested race there in Texas for the United States Senate between Senator Ted Cruz, Congressman Colin Allred. Give us a sense of what's looking like in your city of San Antonio.
Well, in San Antonio, Colin Allred's going to win overwhelmingly. When Donald Trump came on the scene in 2016, Bexar County, my county, had been a bellwether county. For 56 years, it voted with the winner of the presidential race every 4 years. When Donald Trump came on the scene, Hillary Clinton won the race by 13 points in Bexar County, and Joe Biden won it by about 18 points. It's a close race in Texas, but Colin is right there. He could absolutely pull this thing off. He's got a lot of energy and momentum right now, and he's within striking distance of Ted Cruz.
All right, then, Congressman Castro. We surely appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Great to see you.
All right, thanks a bunch. Folks, after this break, we're going to talk about what's happening here in Wisconsin, specifically Milwaukee. This is a battleground state. It's very tight, and the black vote could be crucial to a Harris win here in Milwaukee. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
Nearly 250 years ago, America was born when we wrested freedom from a petty tyrant. Across the generations, Americans have preserved that freedom, expanded it, and in so doing, proved to the world that a government of, by, and for the people is strong and can endure. And those who came before us, they did not struggle, sacrifice, and lay down their lives only to see us cede our fundamental freedoms to the will of another petty tyrant. So America, in 7 days, we have the power to turn the page and start writing the next chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told.
Rob and I both voted for Donald Trump.
I voted for him twice. I won't vote for him again. January 6th was a wake-up call for me.
Donald Trump divides people. We've already seen what he has to bring.
He didn't do anything to help us. Kamala Harris, she cares about the American people. I think she's got the wherewithal to make a difference. I've never voted for a Democrat.
Yes, we're both lifelong Republicans.
The choice is very simple.
I'm voting for Kamala.
I am voting for Kamala Harris.
IVF is a miracle for us because it allowed us to have our family. After having my daughter, I wanted more children, but my embryo transfer was canceled 8 days before the procedure. Donald Trump overturning Roe v. Wade stopped us from growing the family that we wanted. I don't want politicians telling me how or when I can have a baby. We need a president that will protect our rights, and that's Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Hey, it's John Murray, the executive producer of the new Sherry Shepherd Talk Show.
This is your boy, Earthquake.
And you're tuned in to
Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to G's Clippers here in Milwaukee. Glad to be here 6 days out. And, of course, it's going down to the wire. Vice President Harris, she was in North Carolina today. Also, Donald Trump was in Rocky Mount. That's where we were a couple of weeks ago. And so they got trips planned to Philadelphia. Governor Tim Walz is also on the campaign trail, and so you're going to be seeing a number of Harris surrogates, President Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Governor Wes Moore, Governor Josh Shapiro, again, hitting all of these critical states. There are 7 battleground states. We're talking about North Carolina, Georgia. We have Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, and here in Wisconsin. So let's talk about what's going on here and how do things look. Saquana Taylor, she's a Milwaukee County, Wisconsin Board of Supervisors, and also joining us, Dora Drake, State Representative here in Wisconsin. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
All right. So let's talk about what are you hearing? How are things looking? Just give us your thoughts on what's happening here in the state.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing when I'm out.
You're good.
I'm good. So what I'm hearing when I'm out on doors is I see people are voting, but I also see a number of individuals who are undecided about voting or don't know if they should vote, right? Like if we vote, what's going to happen, what's going to change.
Now, when you say undecided, are they undecided about who to vote for, or are they undecided vote or stay on the couch?
They're undecided about voting or staying on the couch.
Why?
Right, and that's the same question that I asked them, and I think it's...
Like, what the hell are they thinking?
I guess you can say it in a way that I wouldn't, but...
Yeah, you're damn right I'm going to say it. That's exactly how I would say it. What the hell are they thinking?
I don't know what they're thinking, but we're here to help them get to the point where they are going to vote. And so what I talk to them about is if you want change to happen, sitting on the couch won't happen, right? And when you don't vote, you're saying you're okay with everything that's happening. So when you do vote, you give yourself a voice to say who do you want to represent you. And so I think a lot of times when we think about Milwaukee, especially as being one of the most segregated cities, a lot of times they're saying if our vote doesn't matter. And is my vote going to change anything? And I know it's a person sitting in the audience that won by one vote, so I always bring up their story to say they... Who
won by one vote?
Sean Lowe, first black man.
He won what by one vote?
He won city council by one vote, provisional vote.
Gotcha.
Wauwatosa. Change the narrative of a vote, and especially the first black man to sit on that common council. And so when they hear stories that are pertinent to them living into Wisconsin, I'm able to change some of those individuals' minds, and some of them are going to vote. But definitely we are a battleground state, as you said before, and I think everybody has to get on the ground. It has to be not just electeds, but also those elders, those community leaders, your family members. If they stand in your house, you need to tell them they need to vote. Nobody can sit on the table or sit on the couch.
When you talk about that one vote, Dora, I also think about 2022. So 50,000 fewer people in this city voted in the 2022 midterm elections. Mandela Barnes, who's lieutenant governor, lost by 26,000 votes. And I'm curious, have y'all heard from Ron Johnson since he won? Does he communicate with black folks? And that's a perfect example. If those 50,000 people in Milwaukee vote in 2022, you have a black United States senator, you don't have MAGA Ron Johnson, who tried to overturn the election.
Right. And I would ask that too, some of the sentiments that I think we're hearing are people asking for what type of investment are we getting back from the community? And it's a fair question.
because obviously in Wisconsin, there are great things that we have, whether it's our festivals. I know there's a lot of buildings, invested in downtown, but people are asking what's happening in our own neighborhoods, our communities, whether it's public safety around reckless driving to even the issues of healthcare. In Wisconsin, when Roe v. Wade was turned over, we had in our state constitution, abortion ban back to the 1800s. And so what we saw at the state legislature was, folks that were looking for healthcare access. And in order to do that, they had to cross state lines in order to do that. So then when you take into consideration, race, class, access to transportation, that hurt the people that we know and love the most. And because of the makeup in the legislature at that time, we were the most gerrymandered state in the whole nation. And so now that we have fair maps, now there's a chance in the assembly to actually have the majority.
Well, actually, but before you go to fair maps,
right.
you gotta add. The only reason you have fair maps is because people voted
exactly.
in a Supreme Court race.
Exactly.
And so the maps change. You likely are going to see a different makeup of your congressional delegation as a result of that. And so that's a perfect example. When the Supreme Court goes from 4-3 Republican to 4-3 Democrat, all of a sudden ballot drop boxes were back in.
Yes.
You change not only your state maps, your congressional maps as well. And so that's also an indication. And now there's likely going to be a shift in power. Republicans may still control one or both chambers, but they won't have the supermajority they had before. That's the result of voting.
Absolutely. Exactly. But I think what we're hearing on the doors is, how does that pertain to myself and my own life? I think one of the biggest things I've heard is the economy, right? My groceries are going up, or gas prices. And so we've had to do a lot of not re-education, but addressing the misinformation that's out there, whether it's about who Kamala Harris is, vice president, or what actually is happening. And I've had to let folks know that because of the Inflation Reduction Act, Wisconsin actually got a lot of funds towards economic measures. So we were looking at apprenticeships, unions, contracting. Those are opportunities there. But then when it comes to our issues here, is making sure we actually get a foot in the door. And as the chairwoman of the Legislative Black Caucus, we have been in constant conversations with some of these utility companies stating, hey, we know that you're trying to do business, but in order for us to move forward, we need to invest in wealth. We need to invest in capital and access to capital, because it's one thing to address the social issues that we all see and care about, but it's another to build our community, making sure we have access to capital too.
Well, you said it's not a question of re-education, it's a question of misinformation. No, for me, it is a re-education. My man John Hope Bryan of Operation Hope, he said Black America needs a reboot. I said no, it need to be reprogrammed, because I think the problem that we face is a lot of people don't understand the connecting of the dots when you talk about public policy.
Yes.
And so you talked about the money that came back. Okay, if Biden and Harris not elected, you don't have that. You literally don't have the billions of dollars that actually flowed back into states as a result of the American Rescue Plan, as a result of the infrastructure plan, things along those lines. And then when you start talking about money that was then sent to the state, what folk don't understand is, well, then who's in charge? Right. Well, you have a Democratic governor. That's a difference between a Republican governor. A big difference between your governor now and Scott Walker.
Absolutely.
In terms of how money is being disseminated. And so, I've been saying for the longest, we need to have Schoolhouse Rock 2.0. Because a lot of folk literally don't have any idea how politics works. They couldn't tell the difference between what you do and you do.
That's true.
We get it in our office.
And you local and you state.
Yes. Because they don't know. So we'll get a call sometimes at the county and it'll be a state issue, or I get a call and it'll be a city issue. But once again, because of the miseducation or them not being more informative, I believe it's on us as electeds to say, even if it is a state issue, to say this is a state issue, but not just to say call Dora, for me to make sure I do that warm connection so they get connected to Dora to get what they need. And so as a whole, I think the more that we inform them, the more that we educate them, they can vote, and then they'll know what they're voting for. A lot of times, they're voting because somebody say vote, right? Or maybe it's coming to them to say, who do you vote for? But I think when they see the difference of what policy and procedure happens, they'll make a vote that's conclusive to help them.
Also, I think what has to happen, and I see this all across the country. There are a lot of folk who run for office and then communities don't see them again until they run for office.
Yes.
And if there is a failure, is the failure to me is not having quarterly conversations, community conversations. There's some people, they have town halls. A lot of times they don't. And I think that has to also happen so folks are constantly being made aware of really what's going on and what bills are coming up, what things are being proposed, how they need to have how they need to be weighing in. Because I think we spend so much time on elections where we have massive energy when it comes to organizing and mobilizing.
Yes.
But the moment the election is over, poof, it disappears.
Exactly.
And to me, that's a problem. That infrastructure needs to stay in place so once it's over, we're then pressing folk to get done what they say they want to get done.
Absolutely. And when I tell folks about, we've started early voting here in Wisconsin already, and the turnout has been amazing. When I went to go early vote, it took me about an hour and a half just to stay in line. So people are aware of it.
Damn, hour and a half. What were you voting?
Oh, hey,
I'm just messing.
Look, every vote's good, exactly, because we want people to come out.
Voted.
Exactly. But, when I'm telling folks about the election, I'm also letting them know that next year the state's going to start their budgeting process. And so we're already getting our departments sending in their budget requests. And so after the election, there still needs to be a follow-up from our constituents, people that we represent.
Now, when are your state elections?
November 5th. So the same day.
So you're on the ballot.
Yes.
Here.
You're on the ballot.
Okay,
yes.
you're every 2 years?
So the Senate is 4 years and the Assembly is 2 years.
Gotcha. And same time?
Yep, the county is in April, but I am on for state assembly, which is first seat.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so, but you said there are county elections.
Yeah, it's a county
election. So once this election is over, your county elections are April.
Yeah, April of 26.
April of 26.
Every 2 years.
Got it.
It used to be 4 and now every 2.
Got it, okay. And so how about school district?
The school district every 4 years.
And when is that?
That's April 2 next year.
Of next year?
Of next year.
Next year.
Right, and so the reason I'm saying that, and I say this all the time, there are elections every year.
They are.
So I know people get tired of that, but we can't afford to check out to say, oh, damn, here's another election. Yeah, but that impacts our communities.
Right.
Yeah, and the fact of them knowing when elections are, like this time it's presidential, right? So around the world, everybody knows it's a presidential election. But what I tell them is the local elections affect you directly.
Exactly.
And when we start to understand the difference of that, like who's on your school board, who's on your city, who's on your county, because I look at the city as a day-to-day. The county is the social services, and the school board actually is the school district. Those are some that affect you in your everyday life, and those people represent you, and you should be able to see them in the grocery store, at the street, at the park, and if you're not seeing them, then you should be at their office asking them why.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing with her because I think people get so focused, as you said, on the presidential elections. And right now, one of the biggest issues we're hearing about is our school system and public schools. And so I've seen it where people get up in arms about what's happening, and rightfully so. What we're seeing is there are potentially schools on the north side, which are predominantly black children that would be impacted by that. But when it comes to the school board elections, they have the lowest turnout every single year.
Well, hold on. So you said they up in arms. Are they up in arms about something particular that happens, and then are they consistently showing up to the school board meeting? Look, I cover city council and county government, and I can tell you when there's a major issue, all of a sudden you have a whole bunch of black folks there. And then the following week, I'm sitting there like, where y'all at?
Everybody else there.
Right.
And to me, that's part of the deal. That's why I think you have to keep this infrastructure in place where folks are showing up on a very consistent basis.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, look, we appreciate it. I'm glad to have y'all here. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you for being here.
Got to go to a break. We come back. We're going to chat with the mayor of Milwaukee. When we come back, folks, don't forget, support the work that we do here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. You can see your checking money order, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037, that's 0196. Of course, PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And don't forget to download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. We'll be right back.
Disastrous, alarming, a plan that shreds American values. That's what independent news sources and conservatives are saying about a proposal from right-wing extremists called Project 2025. It would threaten hundreds of thousands of jobs created by the Clean Energy Plan, give massive tax breaks to big oil, and roll back protections that keep corporations from poisoning our water with toxic chemicals. Project 2025, a dream for them, a disaster for you.
Her blanket.
First of all, I'm the one that got rid of Roe v. Wade.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? There has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
Women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. You will no longer be thinking about abortion. It's all they talk about, abortion. You will no longer be abandoned, lonely, or scared. You will no longer have anxiety. You will be protected, and I will be your protector.
Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems.
Oh, she had a big crowd. Oh, the crowd.
This weird obsession with crowd sizes. It just goes on and on and on. America's ready for a new chapter. We are ready for a President Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Wrongfully convicted.
5 teenagers were arrested, tried, convicted, and sent to prison.
No men were exonerated.
What he did to us, he tried to end us.
Of course I hate these people.
So-called Central Park 5.
Calling for execution. And let's all hate these people.
You cannot have this man go into office again.
I want society to hate him. We were innocent kids.
The confessions were coerced.
Today, we are exonerated. That guy says he still stands by the original guilty verdict.
This is about democracy being on the ballot.
I have absolutely no compassion.
Look at Kamala. She represents the kaleidoscope of the human family. There's something different happening in America. We will get the opportunity to build a future where we will be able to thrive and not just survive.
In 2016, Donald Trump said he would choose only the best people to work in his White House. Now those people have a warning for America. Trump is not fit to be president again. Here's his vice president.
Anyone who puts himself over the Constitution should never be president of the United States. It should come as no surprise that I will not be endorsing Donald Trump this year.
His defense secretary.
Do you think Trump can be trusted with the nation's secrets ever again?
No. I mean, it's just irresponsible action that places our service members at risk, places our nation's security at risk.
His national security advisor.
Donald Trump will cause a lot of damage. The only thing he cares about is Donald Trump.
And the nation's highest-ranking military officer.
We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator.
Take it from the people who knew him best. Donald Trump is a danger to our troops and our democracy. We can't let him lead our country again.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Jill Stein, Green Party candidate for president. So why are Trump's close allies helping her? Stein was key to Trump's 2016 wins in battleground states. She's not sorry she helped Trump win. That's why a vote for Stein is really a vote for Trump.
Jill Stein, I like her very much. You know why? She takes 100% from them.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol. We've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage. as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
Trump ain't shit.
Did you know that Trump wanted the military to actually shoot Black Lives Matter protesters? I mean,
Trump is not shit. He let people die during COVID and then told us to drink bleach.
he tried to kill the stimulus bill and couldn't, so he delayed the money just so he could put his name on the check.
Trump ain't shit.
He used the death penalty to execute black men like Brandon Bernard.
He f***ed Obama's economy, lost thousands of black jobs. He started inflation and gave his billionaire buddies a tax cut.
America, Trump ain't shit. Don't vote for that man. He's nothing but shit.
Vote Kamala Harris for president.
I get it. The cost of rent, groceries, and utilities is too high. So here's what we're going to do about it. We will lower housing costs by building more homes and crack down on landlords who are charging too much. We will lower your food and grocery bills by going after price gougers who are keeping the cost of everyday goods too high. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message because you work hard for your paycheck. You should get to keep more of it. As president, I'll make that my top priority.
How am I supposed to tell him?
A yinzer, I define it as somebody that bleeds black and gold, works hard, and cares about their family and their hometown. Donald Trump, his plan is gonna have me paying more taxes than a billionaire. It just angers me. But he's gonna make life way harder on working families. Kamala Harris, she's gonna bring prices down and make healthcare cheaper. This is our kind of town. She's our kind of president.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
It's really rich for Democratic leaders to say that Donald Trump is a unique threat to democracy when he peacefully gave over power.
He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future.
That is a damning non-answer. America, I think you've got a really clear choice of who's going to honor that democracy and who's going to honor Donald Trump.
Carl Payne pretending to be Roland Martin. Holla!
You ain't got to wear black and gold every damn place, okay? Ooh, I'm an alpha, yay! All right, you're 58 years old. It's over.
And you are now watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Uncut, unplugged, and undamn believable.
All right, folks, we're back here at G's Clippers here in Milwaukee. As one of the things I said, we've been traveling around this country. 3 weeks ago, we were in Pennsylvania, had 3 stops there. Of course, a couple of weeks ago, we went to North Carolina. Last week, we were in Dallas. Early voting began there. Then, of course, Brooklyn. We spent time at Waters University in Jacksonville. So we've been spending lots of time on the road, getting a sense of what's happening, and not just talking to, of course, folks on the presidential level, but really local leaders such as mayors, state representatives, and others as well. And of course, talking to community folks as well. And so a little bit later, we're going to be hearing from activists and folks in the audience, got questions, things along those lines. But right now, let's talk about what's happening in this city with the CEO of the city, if you will, the mayor of Milwaukee. How you doing?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Good.
How's everybody doing?
So just your thoughts, your assessment as you see this campaign, how things are happening, because it's very tight. A recent poll came out today showing in Wisconsin. It's 1-2 points, depending upon the poll. It's 48-48, 49-48. Just your thoughts.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And in Wisconsin, I mean, in this state, we're home of the nail biter, right? The elections, statewide elections, like presidential elections, are decided on the razor's edge. That's why it's so critically important for people in Milwaukee to realize their power, to recognize their power, to go to the polls to vote. I mean, think about it. We're in G's Clippers, in Bronzeville, in Milwaukee, right? This is a historic African-American neighborhood. If African-Americans show up in this election the same way that African-Americans showed up in 2012 and 2008, there is no, this wouldn't even be a question, right? We would win this race. Kamala Harris would win this race. So we need everybody to show up and vote, and not just on Election Day. I used to be an Election Day voter. I voted early. Why? Because you never know what's going to happen on Election Day. You never know. I just looked at the forecast just this morning. It's going to rain on Election Day. And we know that discourages people from going to vote. But outside of weather, I mean, you could have an issue with your kid, your car could break down, the bus may not come on time, anything could happen. So get up, get out, and vote early. And that's what I'm encouraging Milwaukeeans to do.
When you talked about turnout, in terms of percentage of eligible black voters, what's that turnout number here in this city? So
we've been seeing some slippage in Milwaukee, unfortunately, since the Obama years. I think at the height there, it was like 79% turnout in the African-American community here. Unfortunately, those numbers have slipped over time. They slipped in 2016. They slipped a little bit in 2020 as well here.
Slipped to what? Below 70?
Oh, yeah, they were below 70. They were below 70.
Still in the 60s?
I think it was even less than that. I don't have those numbers off top. The point is that they were troubling. And we need to get those numbers back up, especially in a state like Wisconsin, because our votes can flip this statewide election if people realize the power that they have.
Well, that's one of the points that I've been making across the country, and the reason I wanted to know what those numbers were is because what I keep saying nationwide, if black people vote at 70% of our capacity, we sweep elections. Literally. I mean, Biden-Harris won this state by 20,000 votes. You go to 2016, Trump wins this state over Hillary Clinton by 10,000 votes. So if you talk about that black percentage, if the black turnout is anywhere from 50 to 55, and then you take it up to 70, 75, that's the margin of victory. And so forget what everybody else does. Black people can decide that, and not just presidential election. We're not talking about statewide elections as well. And so we could go from Wisconsin to Philadelphia. We can go to Pennsylvania. We can go to Michigan. In Detroit, Obama hit 50% of Detroit turnout. If Detroit turns out at 70%, it's not even a discussion in terms of who wins, which means we are dictating who wins, and now we can have a greater demand when it comes to public policy.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. And think about this, right? When you look at what these candidates are offering right now, these candidates for president, Vice President Kamala Harris and Mr. Trump, right? One candidate, talking about, having power and being able to dictate what the policies are, one candidate in this race is focusing on the issues that matter to you, right? There's only one candidate in this race who's trying to bring down the cost of inflation. There's one candidate in this race who's talking about making sure that folks get access to assistance when they're going to buy their first home. There's one candidate in this race who's talking about making sure that when you start a family that you get a tax credit for that to take care of some of those early expenses. Look, I got a 14-year-old son and 6-year-old now twin daughters. I know how expensive it is to have kids. We never even put our daughters in daycare because it was too expensive. Kamala Harris is focused on those issues. And being that, again, that we're on the north side of Milwaukee in G's Clippers in Bronzeville, right, in a historically African-American neighborhood, look, there's only one candidate in this race who has policies geared towards African-Americans, and namely African-American men, and came out recently with policies geared towards Latinos, not just in Milwaukee, but in Wisconsin and across the United States. That's Kamala Harris. All of that is Kamala Harris. On the other side, you got Mr. Trump, and what is he talking about? He's talking about people eating pets. He's talking about sharks and batteries.
No. He's talking about Haitian immigrants eating pets.
He's talking about immigrants eating pets, yes.
That's what he's doing.
He's talking about sharks and batteries. He's talking about Hannibal Lecter, the late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's talking about Arnold Palmer's manhood. He's talking about all this nonsense, but he's not talking about stuff that is going to benefit you in your life.
But he is talking about bringing back stop and frisk.
Yes.
In fact, he also just said today that he will defund any law enforcement agency that does not help to deport migrants. And he also made clear that if a local law enforcement agency does not, if a city does not implement stop and frisk, he will cut funding to that particular city. And he wants to give the cops 100% police immunity from any of their actions. Oh, y'all didn't know that? Like he literally makes that perfectly clear.
Yeah, no, he absolutely does. I mean, but this isn't new for Donald Trump, right? When you look back at his first term when he was president of the United States, look at some of the positions that he took. I remember, having the experience as a young person growing up, in this city. I didn't get into a lot of trouble, but I used to be younger. I used to be a little more ripped. I used to have, believe it or not, long hair. And one time
we got to see some photos.
I know.
And you can pull them VHS tapes out.
Alexis and I went to high school. She knows. But I remember being outside of my aunt's house late at night, going to pick up my cousin, and police coming up to the door. I didn't even get the chance to roll the window down and say, "Is there a problem, officer?" I got yanked out the car and made to sit on the curb like I was a criminal. Right? And I think about Donald Trump and some of those things that you just talked about. And when he was president the first time around, I remember he went to speak before this gathering of law enforcement officers and told those officers, when you're putting somebody in the back of the car, don't put your head over your hand over their head. Why don't you just rough people up a little bit? That's the guy who wants to be president. That's the guy who's asking for black men, especially, to support him. Like, he's not for you. He's not for us. He's not for black men. He's not for anybody. The only thing that he is for, the only person that he's for, is the person that he looks at in the mirror every single day, and that's Donald Trump. That's it.
Well, that's why that's why I get a kick every time Byron Donalds drags him to a black barbershop. They look like the two most uncomfortable people in a black barbershop. A black dude and a white guy. Trump ain't nothing. You see him, he like, damn, I got to sit in this chair. He is not trying to do that. But the thing is, you have people who are fixated on, when they talk about, how life was so different. I always hear them say his 4 years. I'm like, no, let's not forget the last two, where that took place. But also the economy, and Obama's talked about this here, the economy that he inherited, that's what he was riding on. We went through a recession in 2009, 2010, 2011. And it was Obama-Biden that, again, pulls us out of that. And then all of a sudden the economy takes off in 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, carries over 17, 18, 19. Well, you look at right now. Finally, after COVID, and then what he did, it's taken 3 years. Gas is now at a 3-year low. You see the inflation down to 2.2%, the lowest unemployment in 50 years. And then turn it back over to the food that tanked it. Oh, hell no.
Hell no. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, and President Obama says this when he's out on the stump right now. Trump celebrates the economy. And it's good to celebrate the economy when he was president, because that's the economy that he inherited from Barack Obama. I mean, Barack Obama had 75 months of consecutive job growth in the United States. That happened under President Obama. If you really want to take a measure of the economy under Donald Trump, look at the economy that he handed off to his successor, the economy that actually lost jobs. Donald Trump is only the second president, I think, that actually lost more jobs than they brought in over the course of their time, the other being Herbert Hoover when the United States went into the Great Depression.
But he said, no, it was perfect. It was fabulous. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. Because, he only knows about 4 or 5 words. He only knows that. his folks believe they're going to get 25% of black male vote. I'm like, all y'all high. But you do have folk out there who are saying lots of crazy stuff. What do you say to a brother and a sister here in Milwaukee who is contemplating voting for the orange man or sitting on the couch? What do you tell them?
Well, so in Milwaukee, I mean, this is the city of festivals, right? So in the summertime, especially, like, there's no shortage of opportunities for people like me and people like, the state representative, the soon-to-be state representative, and the state senator to go out and talk to people in this community. And before I was mayor, I was on the city council. And when you're an alderman, you go and you knock on doors. I didn't stop knocking on doors from the time I got elected until COVID started, right? And so I brought those same sort of things to the mayor's office. And I don't advertise it so much, but I still go to people's doors. I still knock and talk to them because I want to see them at their doorstep. I want to hear the issues that are going on and talk to them about, elections. And so I've had the opportunity to speak to people in Milwaukee at the festival grounds, the custodians who are keeping the grounds clean, the individuals out in their neighborhoods at their doors. And I talk to them about what's going on, what they see in this election. And I have run into some who are on the fence, who didn't know. And then when you tell them what's at stake in this election.
They didn't know about his record, or they didn't know about the election?
They knew about the election. They knew what's coming up, but they're concerned about politics. They're not really engaged. They didn't know if Donald Trump was actually telling the truth because he's numbed people with all these lies over the years. Nobody knows.
They didn't know if he was telling the truth.
Some of them don't.
If his lips are moving, he lying.
Yeah, well, you and I know that.
That man lied about a lie.
Yeah. Well, you and I. That's what he was taught by his dad and by Roy Cohn back in the day in New York City when he was coming up. But when I go and I talk to these folks and I tell them about what the stakes are in this election and tell them what Kamala Harris looks to do for them and versus what Donald Trump had done as president and what he's talking about doing, like implementing something as extreme as Project 2025, they understand. And this, not just, women, it's men and it's black men too. They get it. They understand when you talk to them about what's at stake in this election, when we talk about how Trump's policies would negatively affect them and how Kamala's policies would positively affect them and their families and our community, then they know that Kamala Harris is the candidate for them.
Well, and that's why I tell people it's not a gender thing, it's not a black thing. It literally comes down to when you look at what someone's going to do, but also what they've already done. And so, but part of this, though, was the disinformation that was targeted towards her in 2019. I mean, I had so many people who were talking about, oh, my God, she put thousands of black men in jail. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Not realizing where it was coming from. I mean, the largest Black Lives Matter Facebook page was a Russian troll farm. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of our folk don't realize information coming from. I just other day they uncovered there's a social media account called Black Insurrectionist that is actually a white dude in New York. And a lot of the conspiracy theories that have been on social media was started with his account. And so a lot of us must understand who is actually communicating, because we think it's black folks talking to us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. And a lot of that are literal Russian, Chinese, Iranian troll farms.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it makes you kind of wonder and think about some of the positions that Mr. Trump had taken when he did have the privilege to be president, right? You look at, the United States and our elections being under attack. You look at all the social media interference that we're seeing in our elections in other places. And when, 17 different intelligence agencies say, hey, this is definitively pointed in the direction of Russia and Vladimir Putin, and Donald Trump stands right next to him and says, well, I don't think it's him. I don't see why it would be, even though all of your agencies in the United States, your intelligence agencies are saying this is what's happening. He says, couldn't be.
No, he is who he is. And so you said when he was president, I can't even use those words with him. In fact, there was normally, whether it's the State of the Union or the first speech, the president will actually meet with various TV anchors and for like a 2 or 2.5 hour lunch. So the first one, so I got invited to 3 of them. I went to 2. After that, I was like, I can't listen to this fool anymore. So the first one, president walks in, everybody stands up. They walk towards the president. So I was like that meme of The Simpsons, like they retreat back into the bushes. That was me. So I fell back, and I was like, so I said, well, look, he got to walk this way anyway. And I was standing there, and I said, I can't call his ass Mr. President. Then I was like, I can't call him Mr. Trump. So I'm sitting there trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to call him when he get to me. So he's shaking everybody's hand. He got to me. He's like, good to see you. I went, hi. I could not call. That's exactly what I said. I went, hi. I couldn't call it because my deal is I am not going to give somebody the respect of the office who does not respect the office. And I just couldn't. I mean, I just literally couldn't. And so that's for 4 years. Like, if I referred to him as President Trump, it was a slip up. I just can't even put those 2 words together. Yeah. So come 1 a.m. On November 6th, we should be saying President-elect Kamala Harris next week. So, Mayor Johnson, we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. All right, folks, we're going to take a break. We come back. We'll chat with community activists, chat with people in the audience. We're going to get their thoughts on issues they care about, what they want to hear, the campaign, and how things are going to go. So you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network live at G's Clippers here in Milwaukee. Back in a moment.
It's really rich for Democratic leaders to say that Donald Trump is a unique threat to democracy when he peacefully gave over power.
He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future.
That is a damning non-answer. America, I think you've got a really clear choice of who's going to honor that democracy and who's going to honor Donald Trump.
Disastrous. That's what independent news sources and conservatives are saying about Project 2025. It would threaten hundreds of thousands of jobs, give massive tax breaks to big oil, and roll back protections. A dream for them, a disaster for you.
Winners never back down from a challenge. Champions know it's anytime, any place. But losers may whine and waffle and take their ball home.
Trump now refusing to debate a second time.
He did terribly in the last debate. He's so easily triggered by Kamala Harris.
Well, Donald, I do hope you'll reconsider to meet me on the debate stage. If you've got something to say, say it to my face.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
The overturning of Roe almost killed me. I had a blood clot in my uterus that caused my labor to have to be induced because of the overturn of Roe v. Wade. I wasn't able to get life-saving treatment sooner. I almost died. And that's because of the decision that Donald Trump made.
I was able to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I'm proud to have done it.
The doctors and nurses were afraid that if they treated me in the incorrect way, that they would be prosecuted for that. And that's appalling. Donald Trump says that women should be punished.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? There has to be some form of punishment. For the woman? Yeah.
I believe that women should have reproductive freedom to make the choices about their own bodies. 4 more years of Donald Trump means that women's rights will continue to be taken away one by one by one by one. This has to stop because women are dying.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Kamala Harris has never backed down from a challenge. She put cartel members and drug traffickers behind bars, and she will secure our border. Here's her plan. Hire thousands more border agents, enforce the law and step up technology, and stop fentanyl smuggling and human trafficking. We need a leader with a real plan to fix the border, and that's Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Trump devastated black businesses.
Efforts to save small business from the impacts of the pandemic have largely missed black-owned companies.
When I applied for the PPP, we didn't get any help.
The big companies, they didn't have to wait. They got their money. People like me were still waiting.
My plan is give startup small businesses a $50,000 tax deduction. Right now it's $5,000. Nobody can start a small business with $5,000. So that's my plan.
Paid for by Black Voters Matter Action PAC, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
He told us who he was.
Should abortion be punished? There has to be some form of punishment.
Then he showed us.
For 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it, and I'm proud to have done it.
Now Donald Trump wants to go further with plans to restrict birth control, ban abortion nationwide, even monitor women's pregnancies. We know who Donald Trump is. He'll take control. We'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
I've had Steelers season tickets since I'm 7 years old, man. Me and my dad, that's our thing.
Here we go, Steelers! Here we go! Kick it!
I was a 7-year-old with a little mullet, just like a Pittsburgher should have, with a Cordell Stewart jersey on, sitting at Three Rivers Stadium watching in 1995. A Yinzer, I'd define it as somebody that bleeds black and gold, works hard, cares about their family and their hometown. Donald Trump does not care about the working man whatsoever. This guy's not looking out for my family. Talking about giving tax breaks to billionaires, and he's gonna sell out working families to pay for it. Cut our health care. Cut our Social Security. He's a little rich kid, too. He ain't me. Little silver spoon boy Donald Trump. How is he relatable to me whatsoever? The guy literally lives in a country club. Do I look like a country club kind of guy?
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Bob and I both voted for Donald Trump.
I voted for him twice. I won't vote for him again. January 6th was a wake-up call for me.
Donald Trump divides people. We've already seen what he has to bring.
He didn't do anything to help us. Kamala Harris, she cares about the American people. I think she's got the wherewithal to make a difference. I've never voted for a Democrat.
Yes, we're both lifelong Republicans.
The choice is very simple.
I'm voting for Kamala.
I am voting for Kamala Harris.
IVF is a miracle for us because it allowed us to have our family. After having my daughter, I wanted more children, but my embryo transfer was canceled 8 days before the procedure. Donald Trump overturning Roe v. Wade stopped us from growing the family that we wanted. I don't want politicians telling me how or when I can have a baby. We need a president that will protect our rights, and that's Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems.
Oh, she had a big crowd. Oh, the crowd.
This weird obsession with crowd sizes. It just goes on and on and on. America's ready for a new chapter. We are ready for a President Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Wrongfully convicted.
5 teenagers were arrested, tried, convicted, and sent to prison.
No men were exonerated.
What he did to us, he tried to end us.
Of course I hate these people.
So-called Central Park 5.
Calling for execution.
And let's all hate these people.
You cannot have this man go into office again.
I want society to hate him.
We were innocent kids.
The confessions were coerced.
Today, we are exonerated. That guy says he still stands by the original guilty verdict.
This is about democracy being on the ballot.
I have absolutely no compassion.
Look at Kamala. She represents the kaleidoscope of the human family. There's something different happening in America. We will get the opportunity to build a future where we will be able to thrive and not just survive.
Hello, I'm Paula J. Parker. Truly proud on the Proud Family, Louder and Prouder on Disney+. And you're watching Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
All right. All right, folks, we're back at G's Clippers here in Milwaukee. Last night, 75,000 people were on hand at the Lips in Washington, D.C. as Vice President Kamala Harris made her closing arguments. We were, of course, on hand for that. Here's some of what she had to say.
And it will probably be the most important vote you ever cast. And this election is more than just a choice between two parties and two different candidates. It is a choice about whether we have a country rooted in freedom for every American or ruled by chaos and division. Many of you watching have probably already cast your ballots. But I know many others are still considering who to vote for, or whether you'll vote at all. So tonight, I will speak to everyone about the choice and the stakes in this election. Look, we know who Donald Trump is. He is the person who stood at this very spot nearly 4 years ago and sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol to overturn the will of the people in a free and fair election. An election that he knew he lost. Americans died as a result of that attack. 140 law enforcement officers were injured.
All right, folks, Rebecca Carruthers with the Fair Election Center joins us right now. Also, Jade Mathis with Jade Mathis Law out of D.C. Rebecca, all of these folks today are talking about a comment that President Joe Biden made on the Vote Latino Zoom, saying Donald Trump supporters are garbage. I would have said they hot trash, but that's just me. And so he came back and said that he was talking specifically about the comedian who made the comment about Puerto Rico. All these right-wingers have been running around all today talking about it because they don't want to talk about what she discussed last night. But the reality is it can't be overlooked. He had some 50,000 people on January 6th, 75,000 last night. They were backed up all the way up to the Washington Monument. It was a massive turnout. And the key thing that she said is that he's a petty tyrant. I didn't hear any lies told.
Thank you so much for having me on the show tonight, Roland. So, one of the things that we heard from the White House today is that they were pushing back that they believe that Joe Biden made a gaffe. We know that Uncle Joe tends to make gaffes from time to time, but also serious people understand that he was pointing out that the comments that were made at the Trump hate rally that was at Madison Square Garden wasn't apropos. In fact, it was very demeaning to all sorts of groups. If you are not white, if you are not straight, if you are not male, you are likely offended based upon the things that came out of that rally. But what we do know is that it appears that the Trump campaign is looking for another 2016 deplorable comment that they can try to spin going into the last few days of this election cycle.
Of course, and that's what their whole goal is, at Jay. But here's the thing that I really think is important. We heard her really make two closing arguments. We were there in Houston when she talked about reproductive rights, and then what she stated last night. And there are progressives out there who feel as if she's been too accommodating to Republicans who don't support him. There were a couple who were on stage last night. But the reality is, in states like this, in Pennsylvania, in Michigan as well, if she's able to pull 5 to 10% of Republican voters, never Trumpers, or people who are turned off by him in independents, that's also a margin of victory. At the end of the day, the goal is to win. And if you can win with your voters and some of their voters, that's the whole goal.
Absolutely. And Kamala Harris, her message yesterday was one, I would say, of bipartisan and mutual respect, right? Something that is a foreign concept to Donald Trump as a bully and a self-absorbed bully as well. I would also say one thing that she pointed out that I thought was brilliant is that she's concerned that everyone who disagrees with Trump is going to be an enemy, right? So, and I absolutely agree with that because trivial Trump, that is his whole goal, is to pay back, get back, even if someone ever did anything, right? Or they didn't intend to do anything. So that is going to be very, very, very concerning. Very concerning.
But we also know that he is petty. I mean, listen, in Orange County, California, Rebecca, that was a natural disaster. His folks had to convince him that the people to assist were actual voters, and that's how he sent the money. That's how trifling he is.
We're seeing a lot of sociopath and narcissistic things happening from, unfortunately, the former President Trump. What we do know is in many states, like tonight, I'm in Atlanta. So in Georgia, there is early voting going on. So I think at this point, it's very clear for those who are going to vote. There's two choices on the ballot, pragmatically, for the top of the ticket. There are lots of down ballot races. There are lots of other things to vote for as well, different initiatives depending on which state that you're in. So I think right now, we have to figure out for those who are on the fence, trying to figure out whether or not they're actually going to cast a ballot. I think those are the people that we have to start talking to now and letting them know, hey, this is a team effort. This is a group assignment. Like when we were all in school, we hated when we have group assignments, but unfortunately or fortunately, that is what democracy is. I understand that there are people who have mixed thoughts, especially because they don't feel like their issues, whether on domestic or foreign policy issues, are being heard. However, we are together in a collective, and we have to figure out what is in the best interest of everyone in this country. So for those of you all who are unsure with whether or not you're going to vote, you know what? We need you to think about not just beyond the particular issues that you care about, but think in terms of community, understanding that all of us are going to be impacted based upon your decision to vote or not to vote.
Well, the other thing, Jade, is that all your issues will not be addressed. And look, I totally understand. I completely understand folks who say what's happening in Gaza is the number one issue. But let's be real clear. Donald Trump will tell Netanyahu, turn it all into a parking lot. Donald Trump had a Muslim ban. He's made it clear, I'm deporting everybody. So it's a whole bunch of Muslims and Puerto Ricans and others who think, oh, he's not talking about me. No, they might send your ass back too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of goes with what he said in his speech in Ohio on October the 3rd. He said one of his first agendas in office is a massive deportation to legal Haitian immigrants, in addition to illegal Haitian immigrants. So that is an indication of one of the things that he would be doing, right? And how he looks at us. Another thing I forgot to mention with the previous question is that one thing Kamala Harris has perfected is knowing her audience and knowing her environment, right? So she brings up what's necessary because she's bright enough and smart enough and strategic enough to know where she's at, what they need, what they probably want to hear, whereas that Donald Trump does not care. It doesn't matter where he's at, what the issues are in that particular area. He doesn't care. He brings up what he wants to do and what he intends to do.
And Rebecca, I swear, if another black person brings up them damn stimmy checks, I'm going to cuss somebody out. Because, I mean, first of all, I'm sitting there going, you still tripping on a check 4 years ago that you will not be getting again? They are not going. First of all, Speaker Mike Johnson's already said they want to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. It's going to happen. All right. We already know they were cutting programs when it comes to of the food stamp program. They're looking to cut things left and right. They don't want to do Medicaid expansion. They want to get rid of $35 insulin. So black people, it's a whole bunch of y'all grandmothers and grandfathers who are paying $35 a month for insulin. They want to go back to $400 to $500. I'm trying to understand why some folk are stuck on stupid.
Roland, I mentioned that I'm in Atlanta. I was in Atlanta. I was with Mrs. Obama yesterday at the rally with lots of activists from across the state. We brought in thousands of people, including lots of young people and lots of college students. And yes, there are people talking about economics. They are remembering the quote-unquote good old days of the $1,200 stimmy check. While that was great and we were in a national emergency, to your point, we have constant emergencies in this country, both from domestic emergencies as well as the emergencies that we're facing from threats from abroad. One thing that we do know is that we need to have a leader who is extremely competent, who's able to deal with these emergencies as they come up. And while, yes, there were people excited about the $1,200 check, but I'm pretty sure there's no more money left. If you were able to spread out that $1,200 over the last couple of years, teach me your economic and budget tricks. But, seriously, I think, a lot of people understand what's at stake. I'm noticing that people are excited for this thing to be over. And I know a lot of people are exhausted because of all the campaign commercials, all of the texts, all of the ads, everything that they're seeing on the news. But what we need people to understand is this election is very important. We always say, hey, this election is the most important in your lifetime. But guess what? Each and every opportunity that you have to cast a ballot is extremely important. One final note, as I was sharing with different students yesterday, is it is our community that's being told, hey, maybe you should sit out, maybe you should not vote. If you talk to white people, they are not getting that messaging of, hey, you shouldn't vote, you should sit out, things are too hard, feel despondent. But it is largely communities of color who are being told that. And I really want people to think, to ponder, and to consider, why is it that we are being told that, but other people aren't being told that?
And, Jade, I would have loved to play this video that my man Luther Campbell did. But I think he would make Reese blush how often he cussed in that video. So I'm not going to play it. But the thing that he really talked about was, he was really frustrated with a lot of things that he's been hearing. And folk really need to understand. I have yet to see a plan from Trump, from J.D. Vance, from the Republicans, that's a black agenda. They rolled out that platinum plan again, which was a tinfoil plan that released in 2020. And so anybody is falling for the okie doke. They got to be crazy. And so we need to understand that what we're talking about here, we literally are talking about who is going to be in control, be in power the next 4 years. And not only that, the next president could very well appoint 2 Supreme Court justices. Right now, it is a 6-3 right-wing majority. If Kamala Harris is the next president, and let's say Alito and Thomas retire or anything happens, this court flips. And in Wisconsin, they know what happens when a Supreme Court flips from a Republican control to a Democratic control.
Yeah, absolutely, Roland. And I think what people are forgetting, to your point, is that there's nothing in the policies for our community, right? And whatever he's saying or alleging is a stark contrast to Project 2025 for minorities, which would eliminate worker protection, EEOC, Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, DEI. So what it's actually doing is, it's causing more harm, and we have no protection. It's actually taking away more protection than we have now, which is still limited.
Absolutely. All right, then. Well, I appreciate both of y'all joining us. Rebecca, you there in Atlanta. Again, tell them black folk they got to vote in higher numbers. Tell them get going.
Well, look,
they've been lagging a little bit in Atlanta.
Well, I'm on my way to Tallahassee for FAMU's homecoming. We're doing our vote coming activation. I'm very excited for the stuff that the students are doing, but making sure that their campus is turned out to vote.
Well, absolutely. And I want to see all the Puerto Ricans and Haitians in Florida vote, because, man, if we can get rid of Rick Scott and then, of course, take him out and then take out DeSantis next. So, Jade, Rebecca, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Thank you for having me. All right, folks, when we come back, we're going to chat with our panel here in Milwaukee here at G's Clippers. And G, also, my man Doc Rivers said, what's up? He said he's going to miss us here. So he just sent me a text. So he told me, how black people got to do shout-outs. Black people will text you for a shout-out. So y'all let Doc Rivers know he got a shout-out. All right, y'all. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network, live in Milwaukee.
Remember
Remember 4 years ago, black unemployment was over 10%, and Trump told us to inject bleach. But when Biden and Harris got into office, they invested in America. They took on inflation and corporate price gouging. Now, last year, black unemployment dropped below 5%, and Kamala's not stopping there. As president, she'll continue to take on corporate greed and put cash back in your pocket.
Yeah, I'm going to go after them.
Kamala has a plan to make our lives better. Vote Kamala Harris for president.
Her blanket.
First of all, I'm the one that got rid of Roe v. Wade.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion?
There has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form. Women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. You will no longer be thinking about abortion. So all they talk about abortion. You will no longer be abandoned, lonely, or scared. You will no longer have anxiety. You will be protected, and I will be your protector.
Hey, yo, what's up? This is Mr. Dalvin right here. What's up? This is KC. Sitting here representing the Jodeci. That's Jodeci. Right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Y'all, welcome back. First of all, how you just gonna walk in front of all the cameras? Now you know you could have walked on that side. Ain't no cameras over there. Ain't no lights over there. Ain't no cameras over there. Or the toilets over there. Well, take the long way around then. I just wanted to be on TV. That's all. Yeah, man. Black folk will do all kind of stuff just to be on TV. All right, y'all. We're here at G's Clippers in Milwaukee. Glad to be here. As I keep saying, look, critical state, one of 7 battleground states that will determine the 47th president of the United States. Of course, black voters are going to be critical here. As we know, same thing in North Carolina, in Georgia, in Pennsylvania, and, of course, Michigan as well. And so we're here talking about the issues that matter and really getting a sense of what folks are hearing. And so I want to bring up our next panel right now. And so let me go ahead and Equan Burrows with Men Who Lead, Chris Conley, educator, Shining Star Christian School. Ed Hennings is an entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and author, and Michelle Bryan is host. Say Something Real with Michelle Bryan, WNOV 860 The Voice. All right, y'all, give it up for him. All right. Equan, I'll start with you. In terms of, look, you're out there. What are people saying? What are they hearing? Do you believe that our people in Milwaukee are motivated to cast votes in this election?
Yeah, I know we're motivated, Roland. I know that we need to do something a bit better, though, than we have in the past. And that's connecting. There are a number of entities in the city that are doing dynamic work, doing impactful work. But again, we needed them all to come together. And that Black Men Organizing Group did exactly that. They put out the call to all of those leads in all of those particular spaces and say, how about we come together?
You said that Black Men Group.
Black Men Organizing. Black Men Organizing.
So for folk who don't know, explain that. What did they do?
Absolutely. For the past about a year and a half or so, that group, this select group of individuals have gotten together and said, hey, where are the impact leaders, right? Where are they? And I know many of them are in this room and on the stage right now that we're able to come together on a cadence and be able to speak and talk about the things that are impacting our community in real time. And so we've done that over time on a cadence, monthly, bi-weekly for the leadership team, and be able to say, hey, what can we do in order to make sure that we're supporting each other for these efforts in which we know are impactful for the individuals in which we need to see the change within.
No. Do they do that to get a sense of knowing who's doing what? because a lot of times it's people operating in silos.
Exactly that, right? And that was the purpose. And from that, we're able to support each other in every endeavor. We're able to share those endeavors, those events, all the above, and so we can all continue to work together in order to make the change that we know we need to see.
Chris, the reason I like that, the reason because I travel this country. When people stop me, they always ask me, they say, you know, what can we do? What more can be done? And what I keep saying is we have capacity. Yeah. The problem is we have disjointed capacity. Yeah. We got a whole bunch of folk doing stuff other folk don't know. Then if you get together and say, okay, what are you doing? Cool. Y'all already doing that. So I don't need to go into that area. We can go over here. But unless you have those conversations, then you can't do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the demographics are pretty much split.
Hold the microphone up a little close. There you go.
And what I've noticed and what I've seen, which is terrible, is our disdain for women and the fact that we have a woman that's actually running. And we have a population in this country right now that they're speaking and they're acting as if it's not possible for a black woman to actually take this country and put it where it belongs. And you know, it's sad to hear.
So you've been hearing that?
Yes. And so, you know, the thing is, I didn't only hear from men. You hear from women as well. And, you know, I don't know. I think that our heads are messed up or are not, it's not in the right place right
now. Well, that's also that ain't a black thing. Yeah. That's an American thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is, Michelle, we've had female leaders, Germany, the Philippines, Liberia, Mexico, England. I mean, I can go on and on and on. In terms of major countries, the United States is one of the last major countries not to have a female leader.
Without doubt. So I wear a couple of hats, and one of them, I am the NAACP's State Civic Engagement Director. And in that capacity, we did 80,000 text messages to registered black voters here in the state. I'm the person that every one of those 80,000 responses, if they're sent, they come directly back to me. The number of women, black women, that I saw that said not voting for her, called her out of her name, alarmed me, and the number of brothers. So I have told people that while overwhelmingly the responses were positive, and the NAACP is nonpartisan, people told us on their own who they were supporting. But I have told people, to the point that you made earlier, if you shave off enough votes here, here, and here, when we talk about Wisconsin having a 20,000 margin vote, Michigan 11,000 vote margin, you now are getting into dangerous territory. So we have seen the stepped up efforts. They have definitely talked about black male voters. So many groups have been out trying to get that information to feel out where brothers are. But I have been talking to people behind the scenes and saying we need to have these same conversations with sisters, because it just takes enough of a margin peeled off the top to make an incredible difference. And we wake up on November 6th with the result that we weren't planning for.
See, Ed, I keep hitting this over and over and over again. We talk about margins. We talk about how close these things are. Again, if you go back, Donald Trump beats Hillary Clinton in 2016 by a total, hell yeah, I called it. You know, I told you I don't play with that. A total of 77,000 votes. 77,000 votes in 3 states: Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. 77,000. If you go back to 2008, Obama wins North Carolina by 14,100 votes. You look at 2020, Arizona was 10,000. Georgia was only 11,000. So when you start talking about precincts in states, you literally are talking about 1 to 2 voters per precinct. And so when I hear black folks say, oh, my vote don't count, I'm like, you have got to be out your damn mind, because they working overtime to make sure we can't vote.
For sure. Well, just to address the question of what am I hearing, I think my walk takes me to a different demographic, a different precinct per se, right? So I'm in the hoods. I'm in the areas where the voices might not ever be heard, but these voices are not hearing what they want to hear, and that's poverty. how are we going to fix this poverty thing that I'm going through every day? Because when I go in and I speak, and I might talk to some students, I might talk to some parents, and they're in poverty. Like, Ed, you just fired us up for the day, but, you know, when I go to bed and wake up in the morning, I'm going to be still poor. And I grew up in the Milwaukee, A.O. Smith, a Briggs and Stratton, a migration to Milwaukee of a lot of people in this room. We are the kids of that migration, of the 65 and 63 and 68 migration from the South came to Milwaukee because they was escaping poverty. And they came here and it was a land of opportunity. And they haven't seen that opportunity again. So now everybody is trying to get that back. Those of us that grew up in this Milwaukee, we still chasing that old Milwaukee again.
But here's what I would here's what I would say to them or to someone in any other city. Old Milwaukee is not coming back. And so let me explain what I mean by this. So this here used to be a bank, right? Now, here's the reality. When is the last time, so by show of hands, the people on the panel, when is the last time you physically walked into a bank? No, seriously. Raise your hands. I think 3 hands came up. The fact that 5 hands came up. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. That means that when you used to go to a bank, you went through the drive-thru, there were 3 to 4 tellers. Then when you walked in, there were 3, 4, 5 people at those counters. All those jobs are gone. Last time you went grocery shopping, did you have somebody personally check you out, or did you check yourself out? No. I want people to understand where I'm going. So those jobs are gone. So here's what you now have. Old Milwaukee, which was old Detroit, which was old Gary, which was old Chicago. You had middle-class jobs that did not require college degrees, that people were able to have a job, make a living, raise a family, buy a home. Because of technology, those now are gone. So the jobs that used to be, I don't want to use the phrase low class, low income, but lower wage jobs, those were typically for teenagers, young adults, or people who were older, but they just couldn't get anywhere else. The problem now is those jobs are now mainline jobs. And so when the federal minimum wage is now, what, $7.25? And so now the fight for a living wage, you talk about the poverty piece, Harris supports a living wage, $15 an hour. Republicans have blocked it. And so this is where we got to have all these real conversations. Now, as you were talking about the issue of poverty, here's a perfect example. Under Biden-Harris, 400,000 black children lifted out of poverty with increased SNAP benefits. When the Farm Bill is being taught, so the Farm Bill is the bill that SNAP is in. That's under the Department of Agriculture. Republicans have been trying to cut this. This is barely $10 a week. They want to cut that. Then child tax credit. So she wants to expand to $6,000. Okay. Because of the expansion of the child tax credit, 600,000 black kids, poverty was halved as a result of that. So now you got to say, okay, so who wants to continue that? Who wants to get rid of it? There's this ain't a partisan thing. It's a factual thing. Republicans want to cut SNAP, which is food. They want to cut the child tax credit, and they do not want to see an increase in a living wage. Mike.
Trump also wants to cut the Department of Education. And so a lot of those issues, a lot of those agencies and resources that actually lifts our children up and supports them are embedded in the Department of Education. So you have, of course, your Title I programs. Those are programs, of course, that helps our less fortunate students. You have your the other ones that I forgot the The free lunch program. The other one that deals with students who are with disabilities.
And actually, Biden-Harris increased Head Start funding by $1.5 billion.
Yeah. Yeah, and so also within that, I really think he's trying to get to the programs that actually have a DEI focus.
Oh no, not I think.
Oh well, yeah.
No. I need everybody to understand who's watching and in here.
Yeah.
So understand how contracts work. So first of all, on the Biden-Harris, there's been a record $10 billion in federal contracts that have gone to African Americans. That number needs to be a lot larger anyway. But understand, under Donald Trump and Mike Pence, they stopped collecting racial data. So you didn't even know who got what.
Yeah.
What they also did, they bundle the contracts. So if you are a prime contractor, if you want to get a prime contracting deal, reality is you can't compete against a major company for the contract because the contract is too big. All right? What Obama-Biden did was break it apart. That's taking a page from Maynard Jackson. So the reason Atlanta is what it is because he broke apart the contracts. So you were a smaller black-owned business. You could bid for a prime. And the way the rules are written, once you have been a prime contractor one time, you now can apply for other prime contracts. So Trump bundled them back.
Yeah.
Biden-Harris unbundled them, okay, in order to be able to compete. And so these are the nuances that a lot of people don't quite understand in terms of policymakers, but that's also a direct result of who wins because not only when the president wins, they now get to pick their team. They now get to pick who's in the Commerce Department, who's in the Minority Business Development Agency, who's now in the SBA, who's now in HHS and all the different places. And so that's what happens when you win. Right. Your team wins, and now it's a difference in terms of who they want to help.
Again, it's got to bring it back for a landing here. I think that's why we have to continue to collaborate. We have to continue to come together. And again, under the leadership of Walter Lanier here, under the Great Lakes Empowerment Center, we've been able to come together on, again, that cadence to bring educators, community persons, business persons together to talk about these real issues and to set a plan to chart our way forward. So I'm excited about continuing to do that work and to do that work within the next 6 days. There's a lot more we need to do, and there's a lot of folks doing it. So I look forward to continue to publicize that and make it known.
Go ahead, Michelle. I see that. I saw you over there. Michelle was doing that butt dance. Michelle, so let me explain why the butt dance is. Normally when I'm kicking somebody's butt on TV, they start moving in the chair. When he said that, Michelle was like, I know he did not. I know. I saw you. Go ahead.
And I'm glad you did. And I
see everything. Go ahead.
Look, I certainly respect the folks that have said that we are doing everything we can to move out of silos, to work across, different agencies, groups, organizations to come together. But as somebody who sits in a seat where I get to have conversations with people every day, I never talk to some of these people. Folks who say, I'm on the ground, I'm doing the work, I believe you. But I ain't never heard from you. And I can go to person after person who say, I don't know anything about it. So while we have to also pay attention to that this is an ever-growing process, we can't get too confident that we got it all figured out because you will talk to, and, I was thinking about that when Mr. Hennings was talking, you will go into neighborhood after neighborhood and people will tell you, I ain't seeing nobody. And, but it's millions of dollars on the ground right now in Milwaukee. Right. It's all kinds of, everybody had a get out the vote rally, had it this. We had 12 people at it. Yeah. We had 25 people at it. And then and I told people too, I said a number of our organizations, I had to say this across the board, and I didn't leave any organization out. We look good on paper. We look good on paper. We checking boxes, we showing events, but if real photos got taken at those events, if real data was collected from those events, we are in trouble. And this is from our landmark institutional organizations and everybody in between. So I'm just saying, we got to tell some truths too, that it's tons of work that still has to be done. And I'm telling you, there are some organizations that are not going to be able to say they left it all on the field.
Well, that's why, listen, I often challenge, that's why a lot of those landmark organizations don't come on my show on a regular basis, because I believe, and this is not a black thing either, I believe the one word that nearly everybody hates is accountability.
It's real life.
It's accountability. Because the question then becomes, okay, what was your impact? And so, what I'm always looking at, and I'm just curious if anybody's already done this. So when I talk about that 50,000 vote, it didn't turn out in 2022. Are folks here looking at what I call the 10 to 20th lowest performing black precincts? And are they taking that data and then going door to door, touching those people anywhere from 4 to 6 times before Election Day?
No. That's not true. I don't know.
Okay, fine. Hold on. Wait. You can give me your thoughts. Then you give me your thoughts. Also, don't we have more than one microphone? We only got one microphone? Where's the other microphones? I thought we had.
It's one right. It's a small.
I thought we had like 3 or 4 up here. Okay, go ahead. All right, go ahead. So you say no.
No, the only reason I say because since I was younger, since John Kerry, I've been canvassing. I've been working with different organizations that actually, that puts dollars in pockets and resources in order to actually touch these homes. Now, what I do agree with so far as the collaborative efforts and so far as people not actually going further with their efforts in reaching voters is that that bridge should be closed. But what we do see, and from the organizations that I've worked with, I've always been placed in areas where the socioeconomic situation is a little bit higher than the ones that Brother Ed talked about. What
you're saying is you've been sent to places where they already gonna turn out.
Yes.
Which to Michelle's point, looks good on paper.
Yes.
But as opposed to the folk who you really need to be touching are those low propensity.
No one is. They'll throw a concert. They'll bring in a popular rap artist. And that's about it.
Okay, Michelle, your turn.
Let me get in here. So, first of all, let me speak for the NAACP. $100,000 just got dropped in this city in the lowest performing wards that we have data on right now. And so there is a...
Hold on. $100,000 got dropped. When?
Just now.
No. And from where?
From the NAACP. The national office.
National office, yes. Dropped $100,000 in Milwaukee.
Yes.
Okay, to do what?
To go into the wards that the data is coming in right now on absentee voting, absentee ballots, early in-person voting, and we are seeing the data where there is low performance, low turnout, and so they have put people on the ground to knock 12,000 doors in those immediate in areas where there is no activity or low activity happening. There are other groups that have also reached out and have said we are looking at, they named automatic ward, or automatic ward 7, district 7, wards 15 through whatever. There are people that are actually pulling that data. The thing is, and this is one of the frustrations that I've seen, we've had trouble even getting enough people to go out and canvass. Or you pay somebody $20, $25 to canvass. They try to send them out with the tablets so we can monitor if you're actually at the door, if you're actually talking to people. And I'm not talking about the NAACP, but organizations have had to let people go. Power to the Polls has been trying to make sure that they are hitting these disaffected, low voter turnout areas. But we are running into issues having legitimate canvassers and people out here doing some of this work.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask this here because this what you just described. This is where I see the hole. The money just got dropped now.
Yep, for the election.
No, hold on. No, wait. Let me finish. So, if we knew there was a 50,000 vote drop off in 2022, what was being done in all of 2023 and January to October 2024 to educate, inform, canvass, communicate? Because I can't wait. If I have low propensity voters, I can't wait till the week before to holler at them. So the reason I asked the data question, I'm looking at from 2 years ago. 2 years ago said it's going to be a problem 2 years later. What happened in the last 2 years?
So let me just say this: that work has actually been done in terms of reviewing.
By who?
Like I said, I can only speak for the NAACP, at least from this level, in an organization I'm personally familiar with, and so. They have had people and staff on the ground, on board, in the high-profile states and swing states since February. In my case, I came on board in June. We were doing direct work with the units but like Milwaukee or Wisconsin, we only have 8 NAACP chapters here. 2 of them are not active. So we are talking about 6.
That means you don't have 8.
No, exactly. But what I say, on paper. And so there are organizations that have definitely been on the ground. And when I mentioned the $100,000, that's additional money. There have already been other dollars allocated to having, education, civic engagement, whatever units have said they wanted to do. They have been able to reach out to me to help finance and fund those things. We have been trying to, put that money in the community. I know we're not the only organization doing that. And, when I talk to what's happening with the Urban League and Mark Morial, who I'll be talking to tomorrow, we're getting report outs from people. The one thing I will say is that it's a lot of work. It's a lot of people to try to reach. And so folks are working on limited budgets. A lot of people are tapping the same canvassers because this is work a lot of folks don't want to do. People don't want to go to people's houses anymore because you're getting cussed out when you go. That's why it looks better when you got these bruhs walking behind you. Because we have, and then in this climate that we are in, folks didn't want to phone bank for us. They were worried about people cursing them out. I've been called everything under the sun, and I mean, go ahead, throw the N word, put the B in front of it, and add a C on the end. I have been called all of that. And so trying to get people, we've had people even with our poll workers who have said, I don't want to do it this time, y'all. I can't be Ruby Freeman them down in Georgia. So, we've got real challenges trying to get out here, but I know there are organizations that are data-driven, that are looking at the metrics. They've got money up front early, and they are following up like, okay, this is an additional hole we need to plug. And so that's what the NAACP has been trying to do.
The reason I keep pushing that is because what I'm trying, oh, you already mic'd up. What I'm trying to get our people to understand, and Cliff Albright, Latasha Brown, and Black Voters Matter always talks about this. This literally has to be 365. We literally have to get out of, all right, August to Election Day, all right, let's get focused. Because I'm thinking about, right now, I'm sitting here, and I was on the phone yesterday with somebody. I said, Kamala Harris wins. Inauguration is January 20th. If you're Democrats, you're working on the midterms on January 21st. Because you can't wait. And the reason when you look at the black data, what people don't understand about the black data is that the black voter that is 65 or older self-identifies as a Democrat. And they gonna vote. Now, it's rare you gonna find somebody black, 65 older, who ain't gonna vote. They gonna turn. It's black people they got a plan right now. They had their plan a month ago. So and so gonna pick me up. I'm gonna go at this time. Here's my whole deal. I got my snacks. If I'm in line, they got it. But when you go 55, 45, and you start going down, that number gets real low. Problem is, at 65 older, they're becoming ancestors. And so what has to happen now, we literally have to have a massive reprogramming in Black America and a massive re-education program to get our folks to understand that there is a direct result between what comes to our community and our turnout. Because the very people in D.C., in the state capital of Wisconsin, and even at a city hall or county government or school board are looking at voter data to determine where resources go. Right. And so that's really how we have to be thinking. Why don't you go ahead and speak to that? Nequan, go ahead.
Right.
Well,
that's right. Yeah. That's it. Go ahead.
I was going to say this same energy that we have after this election, we have a whole nother one coming up in April.
Right.
County elections.
Right.
And so this is where you keep that steam going. This is where you keep the education going. And what no one is really talking about is new voters. I went to vote today, and at one of the early voting sites. And I'm not going to even lie. I went a couple of days ago, and the line was so long. I said, "Nah, let me pick another."
See, you ain't bring your snacks.
Oh, right, exactly. Like,
see, you are like the old folk.
Exactly.
Old folk would have had an extra bag. They water. See,
but I went today.
You ain't had your plan.
I went today and I voted today. And the thing was, they have this one thing in culture. Now I don't know if they're doing it anywhere else, but I know on the north side of Milwaukee they was doing it here. Every new voter, and I only got the chance to see one of them. But there was a new voter, new registered, and they would yell out, "New voter!" in the whole building. "New voter!" I heard that one time. Wow. Yeah. And so that's the thing. I remember when when Marvin Pratt was running for mayor. And some brothers of us, Quab and I, Nixon was one of them, and we were in the hoods that we were talking about, that he's talking about, where he's talking to people at where the less desirables are, the ones who don't have a voice. We registered something like was it
80%
new voters?
Wow,
new voters.
There you go.
This is the population who people are ignoring.
There you go. Final.
Go on the Milwaukee Election Commission and scroll down under voter information. You will see the number of new registrations for every single day that we have done early voting. Those numbers are exceeding where we have been previously. So there has been a focus on new voters, and the data is there to support it.
All right, final comment. I got a couple more panels. Go.
Absolutely. No argument. We have a lot of work to do, Roland. And again, I think our point is that we're doing it all perfectly. It's not that we're doing it all correctly. It's not that we're doing it all collaboratively, but we are starting right now. And I'm glad to be a part of that change in the real time and working with all the individuals on this stage, those organizations, those community agencies to make it happen. So thank you.
Well, I'm going to say this here. November 6th, folk can take a break, breathe. No. But then on November, depending upon who wins. But then on November 7th, I think what's important is for folk to then come back and say, okay, now analyze the data. Yep. What do we get right? What do we get wrong? Where we need to fill the gaps? And then also begin to devise what is the action plan in terms of what our ask is.
Absolutely.
Because what often happens for African Americans, we literally have to stop operating as political sharecroppers. Yeah. So what happens is we do all that sharecropping, but then when the election is over, other folk get paid.
Real life.
And unfortunately, we don't then meet immediately, because I'm telling you right now, the lists are already circulating in D.C. who's going to be in her administration.
Yeah.
I have not seen the black lists. White folks, they've been circulating like already. We have to understand that when the election is over, we go into action. We don't wait until June.
Right.
No, there should be an ask of Black Milwaukee by Inauguration Day.
Yeah.
And that should be presented to your congressional delegation saying, you want this state with us?
Come on.
This is what we need. That's what got to happen. We're going to give it up for our panel. Going to go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
The overturning of Roe almost killed me. I had a blood clot in my uterus that caused my labor to have to be induced because of the overturn of Roe v. Wade. I wasn't able to get life-saving treatment sooner. I almost died. And that's because of the decision that Donald Trump made.
I was able to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I'm proud to have done it.
The doctors and nurses were afraid that if they treated me in the incorrect way, that they would be prosecuted for that. And that's appalling. Donald Trump says that women should be punished.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion?
There has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah.
I believe that women should have reproductive freedom to make the choices about their own bodies. 4 more years of Donald Trump means that women's rights will continue to be taken away one by one by one by one. This has to stop because women are dying.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Kamala Harris has never backed down from a challenge. She put cartel members and drug traffickers behind bars, and she will secure our border. Here's her plan: hire thousands more border agents, enforce the law and step up technology, and stop fentanyl smuggling and human trafficking. We need a leader with a real plan to fix the border, and that's Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
He told us who he was.
Should abortion be punished?
There has to be some form of punishment.
Then he showed us.
For 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it, and I'm proud to have done it.
Now Donald Trump wants to go further with plans to restrict birth control, ban abortion nationwide, even monitor women's pregnancies. We know who Donald Trump is. He'll take control. We'll pay the price. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
I've had Steelers season tickets since I'm 7 years old, man. Me and my dad, that's our thing.
Here we go, Steelers! Here we go! Kick it!
I was a 7-year-old with a little mullet, just like a Pittsburgher should have, with a Cordell Stewart jersey on, sitting at Three Rivers Stadium watching in 1995. A Yinzer, I'd define it as somebody that bleeds black and gold, works hard, cares about their family and their hometown. Donald Trump does not care about the working man whatsoever. This guy's not looking out for my family. Talking about giving tax breaks to billionaires, and he's gonna sell out working families to pay for it.
You gotta fight
cut our health care, cut our Social Security. He's a little rich kid too, he ain't me. Little silver spoon boy Donald Trump. How is he relatable to me whatsoever? The guy literally lives in a country club. Do I look like a country club kind of guy?
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Disastrous, alarming, a plan that shreds American values. That's what independent news sources and conservatives are saying about a proposal from right-wing extremists called Project 2025. It would threaten hundreds of thousands of jobs created by the Clean Energy Plan, give massive tax breaks to big oil, and roll back protections that keep corporations from poisoning our water with toxic chemicals. Project 2025, a dream for them, a disaster for you.
Trump ain't shit.
Did you know that Trump wanted the military to actually shoot Black Lives Matter protesters? I mean,
Trump is not shit. He let people die during COVID and then told us to drink bleach.
He tried to kill the stimulus bill and couldn't, so he delayed the money just so he could put his name on the check.
Trump ain't shit.
He used the death penalty to execute black men like Brandon Bernard.
He f***ed Obama's economy, lost thousands of black jobs. He started inflation and gave his billionaire buddies a tax cut.
America,
Trump ain't shit.
Don't vote for that man. He's nothing but
Vote Kamala Harris for president.
Nearly 250 years ago, America was born when we wrested freedom from a petty tyrant. Across the generations, Americans have preserved that freedom, expanded it, and in so doing, proved to the world that a government of, by, and for the people is strong and can endure. And those who came before us, they did not struggle, sacrifice, and lay down their lives only to see us cede our fundamental freedoms to the will of another petty tyrant. So America, in 7 days, we have the power to turn the page and start writing the next chapter in the most extraordinary story ever told.
A yinzer, I define it as somebody that bleeds black and gold, works hard, and cares about their family and their hometown. Donald Trump, his plan is going to have me paying more taxes than a billionaire. It just angers me. But he's going to make life way harder on working families. Kamala Harris, she's going to bring prices down and make health care cheaper. This is our kind of town. She's our kind of president.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
What's up, y'all? This is Wendell Haskins, a.k.a. Win Hogan at the original T-Golf Classic. And you know I watch Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Welcome back to G's Clippers here in Milwaukee. We've been having some great conversations. I hope y'all are enjoying this much needed dialogue about what's happening in this city and in this state. Again, one of 7 critical battleground states in the presidential race. And so we want to have our last panel here. Let me welcome to the panel Walter Lanier, pastor, Progressive Baptist Church. Louis Da Silva, Breakfast Club, MKE, Reverend Demetrius Williams, pastor, Community Baptist Church, and last but not least, he ain't even got a title. It just says Howard Fuller. He ain't even got a title. I was reading a book, y'all. I was reading a book. I can't remember what the book was. And it was an African name. I'm reading the book. They talking about his brother. He was making all this noise, yelling, hollering, shouting, changing stuff. Then they went, and later he became Howard Fuller, and I text Howard. I was like, "This the same person?" I said, "He like, yeah, that was another life." What was your name, Howard?
Owusu. It still is.
Still is. So what was it?
Yeah, Owusu Sadoke. That's Howard Fuller's my slave name. Howard Fuller, Owusu Sadoke is my African name. And so let me get my stuff in before you start talking, Roland. So look, let me just say this, and I want y'all to listen real carefully what I'm getting ready to say. One of the things that happens to us as a people is that we get into this woe is me conversations. And I want to talk to y'all in this way. I know 10 votes that Kamala Harris got today. You know why? Because I took 10 students from the Dr. Howard Fuller Collegiate Academy to the polls myself. And I'm going to take 3 tomorrow. And I'm saying this to y'all to say, we got to quit talking about looking at, I know somebody got to look at the data, but somebody got to go get people and take them to the polls. And I want y'all to be clear. You know why I know she got 10 votes? Because I stood there when they voted to make absolutely sure that she got 10 votes. And so what I'm trying to tell y'all, I stood in line with our kids, your children, for an hour on 60th and Capitol Drive yesterday. I stood for an hour at the Washington Park, the library, for an hour today. I went back with another 2. I'm going to take 3 tomorrow. And I know it's a problem because they got to go first to the DMV and they got to have their birth certificates so they can get a Wisconsin ID. You can then take them to get registered, and then they can vote. But you know what? They all did it. And I held a seminar with them before we went, because there was 4 of them talking about, Doc, you know, like, I'm young. I don't see why I'm trying to vote. You know what I asked them? I said, do y'all like me? We love you, Doc. I'm on Social Security. You got one dude out here who talking about cutting Social Security. What about your grandparents? What? And when I got through, there wasn't nobody in our group that wasn't ready to vote, and I took them there. The last thing I want to say is this. I'm a single-issue voter. My single issue is Donald Trump. He is the most despicable-ass human being walking the face of the earth. And all of y'all out here talking about 3 cents for gas. This man wants to destroy your personhood. And so there's got to be at least one of us out here that ain't explaining about the earned tax credit or the child tax. We're saying that this is a white supremacist who is trying to destroy everything that we have fought for over the last 50 years. And I ain't got time to explain to you every damn detail about policy. This man cannot be the president of the United States. We can talk about policy after we defeat his ass. You feeling me? So that's my point.
Yeah, I told y'all. See, I told y'all he had no titles. I told y'all. Louis, our dear friend, the late Joe Madison, he would always say, you got to put it where the ghost can get it. And that's what Howard just did there. And what he laid out is what I try to do on this show every day to get our folks to understand this is not complicated. We actually are complicating this. But what he laid out there was, to me, what jumped out, not just taking to the polls, but having the seminar to have the conversation. And I think that's what is missing. We are not having real community dialogue in our community on public policy, what's going on. We're having peripheral surface conversations. You have more of those, I think you're going to have a different result when it comes to voting.
Without a doubt. And is this mic on? Yes. I do want to say to Dr. Fuller that I had that conversation with, I got lovely sisters, but they were so frustrated. I had just shut them down about Trump. But my sister, who's 11 months older, asked me one time, she said, I just don't know what to say about him. I've never seen it. I don't know how to describe him. And I said, Debbie, he's despicable. Wow. He's the worst human being I've ever seen.
That's what he is.
And I sort of want to consider myself a numbers guy. And I like the way he broke it down. We can make all the arguments we want about policy. Who's better at this? Who's better at that? Right now, the only thing that's going on is lies. Know what's best for you. Take your people. With the Breakfast Club, and we're sending information out now, tomorrow actually. In 3 years since COVID, we've grown from 26 members to over 480. This is all over the country. And we come together once a month. And I tell people, when you come there, if you grew up in Milwaukee and you're over 50, you'll see 50 people you knew for over 50 years. But the bottom line is, and you talked about it today, we're all fading out. I'm not going to tell my age, but you mentioned it. But I will say this. My first real job, I was sitting right where the gentleman, Mr. G, is sitting. And I believe at the time that safe was on that wall. This was Home Savings Bank. I had an opportunity to do that, but not only jobs like that, but you could leave Evinrude and go to A.L. Smith and start tomorrow. You could leave there and go to Rexnord and make the same money your father was making, maybe a couple dollars less. That was all shut off by design. That was moved south to kill unions, and when they unionized in the South and blacks in the South could make a living, they shut that down and start moving the industries abroad. What we need to do, and like I said, our initiative is this, 2 to 5. Each one of our 480 members, we're asking to make sure they take 2 people with them and that they contact 5 others and that the 2 people they take do the exact same thing. Let's multiply. Let's see how many numbers we can put together. Be proactive. But it's a simple choice. It's really a simple choice. Dr. Fuller, I know his work here. I was born here, even though I was gone for 34 years. But we had OIC. We had the Panthers. We had the Commandos. We had children 16, 17, 18 years old when it was time to go to the polls, going door to door. People from those organizations would meet them at 12 and give them a canned soda a bologna sandwich and a bag of chips, and they would keep working. But we lost a couple generations in here. And I think what's important now, what we stress with our organization, we got young men here now that are already very active in this community, working with the youth. We've lost some that we'll never get back.
Right.
But we have to show those that we can touch that they can go. They can grow.
See, Walter, I guess the reason for me, the reason I see this differently in terms of how I talk about politics. Van Jones and I were talking just this morning, and I said to him, there are those who worked on campaigns. I had the benefit of parents who worked on campaigns. So since I was 7, 8, remember I said black people want to shout out, my daddy gonna text me and ask for a shout out. So for me, it was passing stuff out. It was putting up yard signs. I was working in the polls. So my perspective on politics is really absolute neighborhood, block, street, house. And what I'm interested in this city, are churches utilizing their vans and buses to create, essentially, forget the free Lyft and Uber rides. Is that happening? Has someone said, how many churches do we have? How many available buses do we have? Is there a phone number to call if people want to rise to the polls? What is the church, what's the black church doing in this city for Tuesday?
Appreciate you. And the short answer is not enough. I became a pastor about 13 years ago during the second Obama administration. And I remember waiting as a relatively young pastor then to get the call from the church organizing structure about the vans, where we would meet, what we would do, because I expected that same infrastructure was in place. But it's not in place like that here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Two things. There are organizations that do it. Souls to the Polls is probably one of the most sophisticated ones. That's Pastor Lewis, who you lifted up, Power to the Polls, in terms of votes and vote writing. But one of the things, if you talk about my man's conversations and your conversation, Milwaukee is a young black city. We were up high in terms of economic success for a brief amount of time, because we were late on the migratory path, and then we went down quickly. And so this city does not have the same institutional and organizational infrastructure as other cities have. So if you think about Milwaukee, we have our very first, notwithstanding Mayor Pratt, duly elected full-term black mayor in 2024. But when you talk about Detroit, where I was before I came here in the 60s, you had Coleman Young, you had some of the others, the brothers from Gary, Indiana. We're on like a second generation of black entrepreneur. Other cities are on the third or fourth generation, second or first generation of elected official. And so part of our challenge here is to build more infrastructure. We talk about everybody in here is stretched and doing good work, including the church, beyond our capacity, but we don't necessarily have the institutional infrastructure. So we're scattered. So there are people doing stuff here, orgs doing stuff here. And so, but the synergies that come together by having a broader strategic plan, we don't have here in the way there are in some other cities. Or let me just say one other piece, or the way it was when you talk about Qua and others when 2008, during the Obama campaign, when there was a sufficient amount of resources that were dropped into Milwaukee sooner so it could hit the ground better and more effectively. That hasn't happened either.
So, Demetrius, I want to deal with this infrastructure issue and the resources issue. Pass the mic down there to him. Because, and I absolutely, totally agree when it comes to resources. I say this about black-owned media. I see it about these political campaigns. But I do believe we do have infrastructure. We simply are using it wrong. And here's what I mean. So when I ask the question, so if you had, so just give me a roundabout number. How many black churches in Milwaukee?
Oh, man.
240? Okay. Okay. 1,500?
Yeah.
1,500? Okay, all right. So again, I do basic things. So if it's 240 to 1,500, that's fine. Again, I'm sitting there going, who's already surveyed available modes of transportation. How many are at our disposal? 600, 700, 800, 300, a whole deal. So you got that. Then, when I look at, again, I look at how I look at infrastructure. You've got Divine Nine. You've got Prince Hall Mason. You've got Eastern Star. You've got Links. So we have in the black community, we actually have sophisticated infrastructure, available people, available resources. Problem is, it's disorganized infrastructure. And so the thing for me always is, if I'm trying to move on something, how I just sort of think is okay, who to call, who to connect with, and how to get this thing done. When we took this show to Philadelphia, the Harris folk came back and they said they said we're going to do a show at a barbershop at 5 o'clock. I said, well, first I'm going to show at 6. That ain't going to work. Then they had me at a suburban Penn State campus. I said, no, ain't no way in hell I'm coming to Philadelphia. I don't go to Cheney or Lincoln. So why y'all sending me? That's not. I said, you know what? I'm going to call y'all back. So I called State Senator Vincent Hughes. That's exactly what happened. We put the thing together. Boom. We put that together literally in 20 minutes to 3 different places we were going. North Carolina, the same thing. When I reached out to folks, I said, listen, I'm here to actually give a speech tomorrow. I said, well, let's come in early. We could do something on Wednesday. We could do the show on Thursday. Man, I made a call to one brother. He called one brother. And then that literally put together in about 15, 20 minutes. He called G. He was like, we good? Are we doing Wednesday? That's how it came together. The reason I'm saying that, because that's utilizing infrastructure. So I need names. Because the election is Tuesday. We ain't got to wait.
That's what
if you had to sit here right now and start naming who had transportation, who do we call now?
I would say work through your denominational leaders because
no.
Wait.
I want you to give me, if you had to give me 5, 10 names so the people can call them when this show's over to get this done. Because here's the election Tuesday. We got time. We put this show together in 20 minutes. Y'all got 6 days to organize some churches to give me 50 vans. All I want are 50 vans.
Everybody else had the easy questions.
Oh, no. You understand? I ain't got to them yet. So trust me, that's another round.
You can call 445-1610. That's my church.
445-1610. How many vans y'all have?
2.
Y'all got 2 vans?
Yes.
They hold how many people?
16 and about 12.
16 to 28 people.
Yeah.
Do y'all already have y'all plan in terms of how you go? How many people you taking?
We have a plan to call people. We have been walking and canvassing the neighborhood along with other churches. We work with other grassroots organizations because we recognize how important it is.
How many vans y'all got? Y'all got 2 vans? Y'all doing the same thing? Okay, cool. So leaving here, how many churches are you already working with?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, through my denomination, we work with about 40 churches.
Are those 40 churches
they're in Racine, Wisconsin?
No, in Milwaukee. Are those 40 churches pooling their vans?
As far as I know, we're trying to do that.
Okay, so leaving here, you got to get 10 churches to pool their vans, and y'all need to call the same number. You got 10 too. So if it's 10 churches, there are 20 churches. If they got 2 each, now we got 40 vans to move people on Tuesday. Okay, go ahead with your answer.
But see, I think there's another issue. We assume that because the church is black, they share the same theology. That is...
They share what?
They share the same theology. Too many black churches have absorbed too much of white evangelical theology. We don't get involved in politics. And then they have absorbed this idea that I'm a 2-issue voter. If I vote for a party that supports abortion or same gender-loving people, I'm not going to vote for that party. So we have to deal with this corrupt theology that has invaded many black churches, where they're willing to support white supremacy because the white supremacist is saying the right things. Oh, we're against abortion and we're against they and them.
But let me be real clear, because I checked this one sister on my show last year. They are against abortion, but they are silent when a black man gets killed by a cop. They are against abortion, but they forget the fact that in 60 years, there were 3 federal executions. Under Donald Trump, there were 13 in 6 months. They say they claim to be pro-life, but they vote against Head Start. They want to cut food. They're against Medicaid expansion, and they are knowingly right now allowing women to die as a result of Dobbs' decision. No, they're not pro-life. They're anti-abortion.
But see, convincing those who have this theology that there's more to the, behind the rhetoric than what's being said. I believe the Bible, and the Bible says that a man shouldn't lay with, and so that convinces them that I can't vote Democratic. It's a serious battle.
Yeah, I saw a video from Bishop Clarence McClendon the other day that he was saying the same thing. Oh no, we've been calling to get him on the show, and so I think he's in Africa or something. But I'm gonna wait on his ass.
But see, that's my point. I've seen too many. That there is a crisis in the black church around again this kind of white nationalism. And we're preaching and hooping and hollering, but we're not dealing with the real issues that are affecting black folk.
See, the thing, from Howard, you touched on this here, and the reason I push on that in terms of infrastructure, because it's actually sitting right in front of us. I just think it's untapped and it's not organized.
Right.
And I think and we got to be willing to actually challenge black leadership to do more, and then say, I need to see receipts as well.
Right. But see, here's the problem. We got 6 damn days, okay? I'm sitting here asking everybody, first of all, I'm assuming that every one of y'all in here has either already voted or you done set up the situation for you to go vote.
We're just asking, how many of y'all have already voted? Raise your hand.
All right.
So how many of y'all have set up the situation to vote on Tuesday?
Okay, so then the next thing is, before we go to all the churches, how many of us in here got an 18-year-old who ain't never voted before that is a target to get out to vote? Because right now, honestly, I can't get in no discussions with somebody who's going to take more than 5 minutes of my time to be trying to convince you to do this. I'm trying to drag people out who going to vote for Kamala Harris. And we only got 6 days. And every one of us in here needs to identify a Kamala Harris vote and get that Kamala Harris vote to the polls. Because if I'm taking somebody to the polls who's talking about I'm decided, I'm dropping their ass off at the curb. No, I'm serious, because I ain't got no time. I ain't got no time for that. No, I'm serious. We ain't got no time for that, Roland.
Right.
You feeling what I'm saying? So this is no longer about the conventional, let's have a discussion. This is about, I need to take your butt to the polls to vote for Kamala Harris. You're not voting for her, keep your ass at home. Because, no, I'm dead serious.
That's right.
And this is the level we're at. The part of this conversation we could have had 6 months ago, we can have that conversation now. This is all about IDing a Kamala Harris voter and getting that voter to a poll. This is what this is about. And we all got to get serious about it. And I want to tell y'all something. I want to end this. Y'all will love our kids, man, over there at HFCA. When you see what these young people did today, they stood in line. They went to DMV, stood there to get their Wisconsin ID. Wait, you know how it is at the DMV. People, some of the people behind the desk, they ain't the most pleasant people in the world. But I'm just telling our students, don't worry about that. What we need right now is this piece of paper that allows me to take you over to the library or on 60th and Capitol so you can register and vote. I'm saying to each one of us need to think in our Rolodex, our mind.
That's right.
Who is it that I know will vote for Kamala Harris if I get them to the polls? And we got to get them to the polls to vote. And I know, again, and I'll stop here. I know that there's a lot of things that black people don't do, right? But I want y'all to be proud of the black people with canes. standing in line for an hour to vote. Y'all got to start feeling that, because I think there's something going on up underneath all of these polls, up under all of this, because there's a group of black people out here that's larger than y'all think that's hearing the message. We just got to press that message hard for the next 6 days. You feel me? We can't get down on ourselves. This is the time to get up on ourselves. This is the time to talk about what we're going to do. This is the time to say we owe it to the people who died in the Mississippi Freedom Summer. We owe it to Fannie Lou Hamer. We owe it to them. We owe it to Polly Williams. We owe it to Vel Phillips. We owe it to all these people. And more important, we owe it to ourselves to vote at this moment in history. And we can do this. We can do this.
Lloyd, when you were talking about the 480, then you said 2. I was doing the math. That's literally 5% of Biden's margin of victory in 2020. Just your group. If those 480 grab 2, let's just say they go to 1,000, his margin was 20,000. Right. And see, and so people always say, man, you gotta stop. My wife was like, you gotta stop saying it's simple. But actually, it is simple. I think we complicate this because we want to try to reach 1,000. No. That's how I was saying. I just need you to touch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Exactly.
If you do what you do, other folks do what they do, all of a sudden, that's your margin of victory.
I just took 10 people to the polls who voted who weren't 18 the last time. I'm telling y'all, a lot of Trump, look, man, a lot of Trump voters died. You hear what I'm saying? Between 2020, no, I'm serious, and now. There's a whole new group of young people who were not eligible to vote 4 years ago that are now eligible, and they are persuadable Kamala Harris voters. You feeling what I'm saying? And so, for example, I was thinking today, I wish I had gone to every high school. They wouldn't let me in. Y'all know they wouldn't let me in every high school. Y'all know that. But I'm just thinking about the number of us who are teachers, ex-teachers, who could go back and talk to the people at the school that you were in to say, hey, can you get your 18-year-olds out to vote? Just we got to start thinking about every single vote matters, right? Every single vote. And I'm telling you, black people, we can do this, man. We gotta have courage. This is the moment, and we can do this.
Go ahead.
There's another element to that too, and I know we were talking earlier about the various women who have run nations, and we get these adverse comments from our own women and men regarding Kamala. But I grew up in a two-family household. Daddy went to work. Mama ran the household. A woman can run it. Or it. But I think another thing that we need to do that we could probably take advantage of, most of us in here are older. Most of us in here probably have grandchildren. But if we make sure that we talk to our children and make sure our children are voting and make sure our children are making sure our grandchildren are voting, we are creating the numbers that we need for the margins. A lot of time it's easy to say, woe is me and I'm tired, like Dr. Fuller said. But you don't need to be tired for 6 days. It doesn't make sense. The question is clear. You got 2 avenues that you're going to go down. You go down the one with Lucifer and you don't try and fight it, it's on you. But you need to stand up for what's going to be best for you, us, our family, our children, our grandchildren, and their future. This is what we tried. This is what some of these gentlemen in this room are doing now. A lot of people in this room work with these younger men. They haven't given up on them. And what we try and do is pass it along. It was always passed along, the griot, you know? But we have to be accountable. We all have to make sure we touch somebody make a difference. If you're by yourself, you got 1 vote. If you got 8 people in your family, you got 8 votes. It's simple.
That's right.
But we have to press that now.
Well, ain't nobody in my family can even come to Sunday dinner unless they voted.
I heard about your family.
Well, that's right. We believe in cut everybody off. hey, you ain't walking in the house if you don't. I had a woman. She said that her son told her he wasn't gonna vote. I was like, did he finish the sentence? I said that would have been a real problem in my household. In terms of your members, are you seeing what he just talked about? The generational focus of not just saying, well, you go do your own thing. Like, no, you come in with me. Because when I was in North Carolina, it was awesome to see these young boys and young girls who literally were going to the polls with their parents.
Yeah, 2 things. I do want to remix my last answer about the church.
All right.
Because I don't want to understate the significant work of souls to the polls. And that's really what I wanted to say. So I was thinking about the churches and our vans, and we may not organize our vans as well as we should. But souls to the polls, the leadership of Pastor Greg Lewis.
Now, is that only early voting, or is that going to continue?
No, it's throughout. They do it all. As a matter of fact, 414-742-1060 is for riots to the polls.
Hold on, repeat that. Hold on.
414
for riots to the polls. Early voting and on Tuesday.
And on Tuesday, 414-742-1060 for riots to the polls.
All right.
It's been early voting. It's been campaigns. We've had buses going from churches to the early voting site. So I just want to remix that answer. And then at Progressive, where I pastor, we have a voter engagement team. We've had one for years. It's 10 people. We engage across all the generations. So we're talking about voting every Sunday. We've had voter registration inside the church, voter education, taking people to the polls. So we try to be a 100% voting congregation at Progressive. The folks are real serious there about getting the vote out. That's not an issue for us at all.
Same question. Are you seeing that generational connection in your church?
Like most churches, my membership, the median age is probably 50. It's older. So you do have the commitment to vote. We don't have, unfortunately, but it's common, a lot of young people. But even those who are there, we make sure that voting is a top priority, not just in a national vote, but even in the regular local elections.
Well, I think that the point that Howard made and all of you have made is that we have to understand it's 6 days. The next 6 days will determine the next 4 years.
Exactly.
And we're talking about literally billions of dollars. We're talking about public policy. We're talking about every facet of our lives. Health, mental, physical, entrepreneurship. You name it, that's what we're talking about. And so this whole idea, I love all these people who keep saying, oh, I need government out of my life. I keep telling people that doesn't even exist. Government is in every facet of our lives, whether we want it or not. You might as well accept that reality and say, I got to be a part of this whole thing. And I cannot overstate to the folks who are not here, who are watching. You may know folk who are in Milwaukee, know folks who are in Wisconsin. This is one of the 7 states that are going to decide this. Okay? We already know how Electoral College works. It will be decided by North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada. And there's nothing worse for me than folks saying on November 6th, man, I should have done this, when you could have done all of that leading up to the election. And so this is the moment, the opportunity for every single one of us, and I'm going to keep saying it as long as I have breath in my body. Black people, if we vote our numbers, we will win. It's not even a debate, but we have to vote our numbers. And so as Howard said, talk to them, grab them. Don't spend you know what? Y'all can ignore any Housewives show, any reality show. I know y'all want to talk about the games. First of all, the NBA just started. The college football playoff ain't until December. So you can put all that. The NFL playoffs won't start until December. You can put all that on the back burner. We should have a laser-like focus on this election because, again, today's decision in Virginia Supreme Court allowed Virginia, they completely ignored the law and allowed them to resume purging folk from the rolls. They say they're purging non-citizens, but the 6 conservatives allowed them to do so, and there are actual citizens who they actually purged. That's real. This is that right-wing Supreme Court. The president appoints Supreme Court justices. The Senate confirms or rejects them. Whoever controls the White House and the Senate literally controls the federal bench for lifetime appointments. That means, and I keep saying this here, Trump appointed a 35-year-old white woman to the federal bench. If that white woman served as long as Ruth Bader Ginsburg did, that woman, her position will not become available until 2065. That's one federal judge. And so we got to understand, these decisions will impact after a lot of us are gone. That's why what happens in this election is critically important. So let me thank our panel here, all of our other panelists. Let me thank our host. Gee, I appreciate it. Thank you. So y'all give it up for him as well. It's an absolutely great facility, and I appreciate it. Tomorrow, we're going to be, hold that 1 second. Camera's still right here, y'all. We still live. We're going to be, of course, broadcasting tomorrow. They changed. Have they given a new location for tomorrow? They given a new location for this church. This church is supposed to be a faith rally tomorrow, so they have not. The new location. All right, so y'all can check my social media, and then I'll actually post the new location of tomorrow's faith rally. I'll be broadcasting live from there tomorrow here in Milwaukee. And so again, I appreciate. Say it again. Hi, what? Hi, Pamela. 32nd in Hampton. Yes. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all there tomorrow, 5 to 7:30 local time, and we'll be again broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered then tomorrow as well. Don't forget, support the work that we do, folks. We don't have millionaires and billionaires sending us checks. These advertising agencies, they love running ads on Fox, but they somehow can't figure out how to run it on this show. So your dollars are critically important. Send your check and money orders to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. Our PayPal is R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. And Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. And get a copy of my book. All the proceeds for the book go right to the show. My book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds. As we see right now, bookstores nationwide in the audio version. That's me reading it on Audible. Folks, that's it. I will see y'all tomorrow from Milwaukee. Holla!
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?